Hey guys, I want to do a different video for you guys today. It still involves Star Trek, but what's going to be different about it is I'm going to give you guys my top 10 Star Trek characters. This is all Trek, regular series, The Next Generation, right on down the line. So I hope you enjoy it, and it's probably going to be differ. It's probably going to differ from your list, but I'm not going by popularity or anything like that. This is just my personal favorite top 10. Enjoy the video. Here is my list of my 10 most favorite characters of Star Trek all time. From Star Trek the original series to The Next Generation, to Voyager, to Deep Space Nine and Enterprise, even to Star Trek Picard and Discovery. There are many characters to choose from in a world of Star Trek. Now everybody has their own opinion on the many wonderful characters that we have to choose from that inhabit the Star Trek universe. Your results will more likely vary from mine. My list is purely based on personal preference only. The popularity or roles of each character is irrelevant. This is my list based on my personal favorites, so without further ado, here is my list. Number 10, Dr. Phlox. Dr. Phlox is from Star Trek Enterprise. His character is played by John Billingsley. He is a Denobulan, and from the planet Denobula Triaxa. He is a doctor serving aboard the USS Enterprise NX-01. He got the position while on Earth as part of a medical exchange program designed to learn more about interspecies anatomically and biologically. Now this character is very close, and I must give an honorable mention to the medical program doctor aboard the USS Voyager. That role is played by Robert Picardo. He is witty and courteous and also knows sarcasm and how to apply it. That character would have been my number 10 as well. Ultimately, I went with Dr. Phlox because of his charm, but whether he is taking care of his numerous pets in sickbay or tending to a patient, you can always be sure that Dr. Phlox will have a smile along with a very pleasant demeanor. Number 9, Tapal. Sticking with Star Trek Enterprise, Tapal is portrayed by Jolene Blaylock. She is a Vulcan and has been posted to the USS Enterprise NX-01 as acting science officer. Tapal has roots that trace back to the Vulcan High Command. She is the first Vulcan to serve aboard a starship. Originally, she was placed aboard the Enterprise to serve as an observer and to report to the Vulcan High Command on the preparedness of the human race as they enter into space with warp technology. Eventually, she would come to respect Captain Archer and his crew as well in their mission of exploration. Tapal would eventually resign her position in the Vulcan High Command and accept a field commission from Starfleet to serve aboard the USS Enterprise NX-01 as acting science officer. Number 8, Mr. Wharf. Heading into Star Trek The Next Generation, Mr. Worf's character is played by Michael Dorn. Mr. Wharf, the son of Moog, also appears on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And Mr. Wharf, he lost his parents when he was young. He grew up with his adopted mother and father, Helena and Sergei Rozhenko, on Earth. They had a son named Nikolai, which Mr. Worf's was his adopted brother. He would also have a son named Alexander, as well as a brother from the House of Moog, whose name is Kern. In the Star Trek The Next Generation episode Sins of the Father, we are introduced to him as he comes to serve on the Enterprise as an officer exchange and is especially hard on Mr. Worf. After the passing of Tasha Yar, Mr. Wharf would be promoted to head of security on the USS Enterprise NCC 1701-D. Eventually, Mr. Wharf would be transferred to Deep Space Nine, where he would fall in love with and eventually marry Dax. Number 7, Seven of Nine. Seven of Nine is portrayed by Jeri Ryan. She can be seen on Star Trek Voyager as well as Star Trek Picard. Seven of Nine was originally born Annika Hansen. Her designation became Seven of Nine while part of the Borg Collective. which started at age 4. Seven of Nine was first seen in Star Trek Voyager episode Scorpion Part 2. Initially, she was rescued by Captain Janeway from the Borg. She gradually had her humanity restored, as many of her Borg implants were removed or stopped functioning as a result of being separated from the collective. There are a few remaining Borg implants that cannot be safely removed, and they serve as a reminder to her what it was like to be a drone for the Borg collective. She eventually becomes a member of the USS Voyager crew as they struggle to find a way to return to the Alpha Quadrant from the Delta Quadrant. By the time we see her in Star Trek Picard, her demeanor has changed. She is struggling with the loss of her son, which she sees as the loss of the only kin she will ever have. Seven of Nine is also a member of the Fenris Rangers, who fight to bring order to a lawless sector. Number 6. Q and General Trelane. We first see Q in Star Trek The Next Generation in the episode Encounter at Farpoint. Q is portrayed by John Delancey. He is from the Q continuum and possesses the ability to suspend and alter time as well as history in any way he chooses. Q can also be seen in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Picard. We see General Trelane, retired, in Star Trek the original series episode The Squire of Gothos. Trelane was portrayed by William Campbell, and the similarities between him and Q helped me make the decision to put them both at number 6 on my list. I am very fond of each character. It is later revealed that Trelane is a child, and eventually is scolded by his parents after tormenting the crew of the Enterprise. Perhaps he could have grown up to be Q? Trelane eventually puts Captain Kirk on trial as he appears dressed as a judge. Q, of course, puts all of humanity on trial, and as he is so fond of saying, the trial never ends. Number 5. Mr. Data. Mr. Data is an officer on the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D, and is from Star Trek The Next Generation, and can later be seen in Star Trek Picard. Mr. Data is portrayed by Brent Spiner. He is unique in that he is an android. He was created by Dr. Soong. He also has a brother named Lore. Lore has the same appearance as Mr. Data, however Lore has a sense of humor and has a much darker personality. In his quest to be more human, Data is constantly attempting to understand and imitate each aspect of humanity. From whistling to making a joke and everything in between, he is constantly working to both understand what it means to be human, as well as fitting in with them. Mr. Data also had a daughter named Lal. She is very cute, and I am fond of that character very much. In fact, I almost put Lal in with Mr. Data at number 5. Lal was portrayed by Haley Todd. Sadly, Lal was unable to survive the total breakdown of her neural nets. While trying to fit in with human children, she also had the stress of being taken from the Enterprise and her father for further study by Starfleet. It was a very sad scene when we learned that Lal had passed on and was deactivated. However, Mr. Data was able to download her memories into his neural net, keeping her alive in him. Number 4. Commander Riker. Commander Riker is the first officer aboard the USS Enterprise NCC 1701-D. He is portrayed by Jonathan Frakes. Riker can also be seen in Star Trek Voyager and Star Trek Picard. Known by his nickname, Number 1, given to him by Captain Picard, we first see Commander Riker in the Star Trek Next Generation pilot episode Encounter at Farpoint. Commander Riker put to the test right away by Captain Picard, as he is told he must manually command the attachment of the primary and secondary hull. He does that flawlessly. His loyalty was also tested when his former captain, now an admiral, Eric Pressman, would show up with a new mission involving a ship from the past. They would search for the USS Pegasus, which had a secret cloaking device on board when it disappeared. This was of course top secret, and he was unable to tell his current captain, Captain Picard, any of the details. Commander Riker would even have his duplicate go on way after a transport malfunction. The duplicate of him would go on his life with the name of Thomas, which incidentally is Commander Riker's middle name. He was temporarily elevated to captain of the Enterprise D when Captain Picard was taken by the Borg, assimilated, and became Locutus. While passing up many opportunities to captain a ship of his own, he was content to remain first officer of the flagship of the fleet. He would eventually become captain of the USS Titan. Number 3. Captain Kirk. Captain James Tiberius Kirk was, in my opinion, the best captain that the USS Enterprise ever had commanding her. He was portrayed by William Shatner. Captain Kirk is seen in Star Trek the original series and can be seen briefly in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Captain Kirk took over for Captain Christopher Pike as captain of the USS Enterprise. Incidentally, Captain Pike had taken command from Captain Robert April. Captain Kirk had a son named David, who he had with Dr. Carol Marcus. Sadly, his son would be killed by Klingons on the planet Genesis. Captain Kirk would be promoted to Admiral and later demoted back to Captain again after the theft and ultimate destruction of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701 refit. He would then be given the USS Enterprise NCC 1701A to command. In 2250, as an ensign, he served on the USS Republic, NCC 1371. Later, in 2254, he would be promoted to lieutenant and serve aboard the USS Farragut under the command of Captain Garrick. But it was 2264 that Kirk would be promoted to captain. He would then be assigned to the USS Enterprise NCC 1701 to command her for her historic 5-year mission. Number 2. Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock is Vulcan. He is also half human and serves as first officer and science officer on the USS Enterprise NCC 1701. Mr. Spock can be seen in Star Trek the original series and Star Trek The Next Generation. He was born in Shikar, Vulcan, to parents Sarek and Amanda. His mother Amanda was human, and his father Sarek, an ambassador, was Vulcan. Ultimately, Mr. Spock would become an ambassador like his father. He was first assigned to the USS Enterprise NCC 1701 under the command of Captain Christopher Pike in 2252. He was a cadet then. In 2253, he would ascend to ensign while he remained on the Enterprise. And it would be 2265 that he would become a lieutenant commander, and he would be assigned to the USS Enterprise NCC 1701 as first officer and science officer. He would serve under Captain James T. Kirk. To me, the most relatable trait is his constant battle to control his emotions. As a true Vulcan, Mr. Spock has taken a life devoted to logic and has dismissed all emotions. He fights to keep his human half submerged beneath the sea of logic. To show any emotion, no matter what the situation, is unbecoming to a Vulcan. His human half makes him feel awkward among his Vulcan peers, and his Vulcan half makes him feel awkward among his human peers. Number 1. The USS Enterprise, NCC 1701. The USS Enterprise, NCC 1701, can be seen in Star Trek the original series, as well as a cameo in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And some of you out there may be saying, come on, the Enterprise is not a character. Well, I beg to differ. To me, the Enterprise is as much a character as Captain Kirk is. And besides, can you imagine Captain Kirk and his crew doing a 5-year historic mission on the SS Botany Bay? No. The USS Enterprise NCC 1701 was launched in 2245. She was built at the San Francisco shipyard, the one that orbited Earth. She became the well-known flagship due to her historic 5-year mission. This mission lasted from 2264 to 2269. Among the many new alien life forms the Enterprise encountered during that time would be the Romulans and Blaylock, who was captain of Thesaurus, as well as mechanical items such as the Planet Killer, as seen in the Doomsday Machine. Under Captain Kirk's command, she had a crew of 430. She was equipped with 14 science labs, an observation deck, and she was armed with phasers and photon torpedoes. In 2270, she would be refitted, and yes, I consider her the same ship. All her systems will be improved, including the warp drive nacelles and the engines. Her weapon systems were also updated. She would ultimately meet her end in 2285, after being attacked by Klingon bird of prey while orbiting the planet Genesis. To prevent her from being taken, Admiral Kirk ordered her self-destruction. Her notable captains included Captain Robert April, Christopher Pike, James T. Kirk, Willard Decker, and Mr. Spock. Well, what did you guys think of my list? What are your favorite top 10 all-time Star Trek characters? Share them in the comments below and let's compare lists. Thank you for watching, and until my next video, I'll talk to you very soon. Live long and prosper.